This is my Mazda MX5. I've owned it for a year now. I've done 11,000 miles. I've taken it to Scotland twice. I've been to Wales, the Lake District, Cornwall, Shropshire, other places I'm sure, and I've done 5 track days in it. It's a 2020 model. I bought it from new. It's the 100th anniversary edition to celebrate 100 years of Mazda. There's only 100 of them in the UK and 700 worldwide, or at least I'm told. So what has it been like to live with this car for a year? And has anything gone wrong? Well, despite me driving this hard on track, it's been mechanically sound. There's been a few minor issues. One that's been resolved, that was this wheel. The lacquer started peeling on it. I took it to Mazda Underwoods in Colchester. They had a look at it, could see that it wasn't me that had damaged the wheel, so they replaced it fuss-free. It's due its first service now, although I have been servicing it more regularly because I do track the car as well. And when you take your car on track, you want to service it more than just a normal service schedule to be safe. And there's 3 issues I want them to look at. One being the rear lights. Sometimes they missed up a little bit. The next one being these windows. When they go up and down, when it's wet, they make an almighty awful sound. Mazda know about this. There is a technical service bulletin about it, so hopefully they can sort it. And the third being the passenger airbag. It makes this sound. It's rather annoying, and it doesn't happen when someone's sitting in the seat, and it doesn't always happen. So I am hoping they can resolve it. Now I'm going to talk about the things I like and dislike about this car, having owned it for a year. I'm going to start with the dislikes. First thing are the sun visors. They spring up quite harshly, and if your fingers are here, it hurts. I've learned to close it like that, so it's not a problem. So to be fair, that doesn't bother me. I've made a list. The next one is the volume knob. It takes forever to turn things up and down. It doesn't turn it up quicker if you turn the knob quicker. It only gives you a little bit at a time, so you end up turning the knob quite a few times to make it louder or quieter. That's something I haven't got used to, and I find that quite frustrating. No lumbar support. These seats give you no lumbar support. It's a hammock style seat with no padding. It's just the lever, the tension of the lever that gives you support. However, I have found a way around it, because it used to give me a bit of a sore back, is I lean the seat back a bit more because the lower bit is a bit firmer. And when I lean the seat back a bit more, it gives me a bit more lumbar support, and I find I have been very comfortable doing that. The steering wheel's a little bit big, although it does help you have an armrest because it's bigger. You can rest your arms. If it's smaller, it might not be as easy, but it's harder to get in and out of the car, and you end up scratching the bottom edge of the steering wheel if you've got a zip on your trousers or whatever. Cruise control plus and minus is too slow. So if I'm at 30 and it comes to a 40 and I just want to use the cruise control to go faster, I can't press plus 10 times. I've counted, it takes 25 times to make it go from 30 to 40, because every time I press it, it doesn't always add 1. It's quite dim-witted. That's annoying. Auto wipers are slow to react. You can leave it on auto, it starts raining, it takes ages for them to come on, and when it rains heavy, it takes them too long to go into the fast mode, so you end up having to use them manually anyway. Accessing the glove box isn't easy. For a start, you've got the bottle where your cup holder is. That stops you getting in there. And you have to be some kind of contortionist to get around and then get your hand in there. I can't get my hand around in there to grab anything. So then I have to then lean forwards and sort of get this hand up there like that. And I'm quite a slim guy, so that's not easy. But it's the type of car. They could have had a glove box in front of the passenger seat, surely, but there is no glove box there. Maybe there's something else there, I don't know. Leaves in the boot and dirt in the boot. When you open the boot, not actually in the boot, but the surround, it gets very dirty very easily, and it's quite awkward to clean. Mine is quite clean, as I'm showing you, because I do clean it quite often, but leave that for a month and it looks dreadful. If there was a little rubber bit around it or something to stop stuff getting in there, that would be good. The phone doesn't fit, or my phone doesn't quite fit in this bit down here meant for the phone. There's a little bit of a gap underneath it, and as a result, it doesn't fit flat with the surface that it's sitting on. It's only the front of it and the back of it that is touching, so it slides about too easy. The mat for the phone should be flat, not like bowed like this. That's a little bit silly. I would like them to fix that. It's quite an easy fix. They just literally need to make a different rubber mat and that will solve the issue. You can't see how much oil you've got. When the engine is warm, and you're supposed to check the oil when the engine is warm according to the owner's manual, you put the dipstick in, pull it back out again, and the oil's everywhere. Clean it again, put it in, take it out, and again the oil is everywhere. It never gives you a reading, but it does give you a reading when it's cold. So you can only check the oil when it's cold. And the screen wash bottle is a bit too small. It looks quite big on the outside because it's nice, big and flat, but it is flat. It doesn't have much depth to it, so it doesn't take long to run out of screen wash. Now for the things I love about this car. Firstly, the looks. When I first got it, I really liked how it looked, but I wasn't so sure about the rear end. I thought it looked a bit squished, but that has grown on me. The next thing are the headlights. The headlights in this are amazing. You leave it on full beam. When somebody comes the other way, it stays on full beam, but it dims where they are. And if you're following someone, it dims the car in front, but still shines brightly to the left and right of them. And you can literally see the dark area following the car, but you can still see either side of them. It makes driving at night a lot easier. The feel of the doors. They remind me of my friend's 5 Series. There's a BMW 5 Series, a new one, because they're so light, and the click of the handle reminds me of that as well. It's really nice quality to the door, and when you close it, no rattles. It makes the car feel of higher quality, and so doesn't the interior in general. It's a really nice place to be, and just about everyone I can think of who has got in the car has been impressed with it. The wheel for the infotainment system, there's a little wheel down here that you use to control the touchscreen, which is better than using the touchscreen in my opinion. It's much safer, you can keep your eye on the road more, and I'm much rather using that than I do having to lean over and look where I'm pressing to make sure I press exactly the right place. And sometimes I know the system so well now, I can do stuff and change stuff without even taking my eye off the road, because I remember what I need to do what I want to do. So that's great. The rasp of the engine. This engine is renowned for not being that great to listen to, but I disagree. I really like the rasp. It is a 4-cylinder, so it doesn't have the best rhythm, but it reminds me of the S54 engine in my old BMW Z4M, which was a straight 6, 3.2, 340 something horsepower engine, which is renowned for being good and sounding good. It has a different rhythm, but the tone of it is similar, and I've owned both cars, and the way it revs, they are actually quite similar. This is just like a mini version of it. It's easy to change the brake pads, 2 bolts on each wheel. Okay, 4 bolts on each wheel to take the wheel off, but two bolts on the caliper to then get it off and change the brake pads. And the piston is quite easy to get back, and the design of the piston means that just about any tool you buy will work to push the piston back in. It's not important for everyone, but I change the brakes before a track day and after a track day, so being able to do that in 2 hours on all wheels is very useful. And there's no awkward circlips and stuff that you have to deal with like on some calipers, which I find very annoying. Also, the brake pedal has a great feel to it. I drive other cars after driving this car, and it makes me realise how nice the brakes are in this car, especially when I get back in it, and how rubbish the brakes are in my Seat Leon. My brakes in my Leon aren't that nice. They're too sensitive and too grabby. I wish they were like this, but you can't have everything. The aircon works really well, but what surprises me about the aircon is it doesn't seem to use more fuel. I've done long journeys across the country several times, sometimes with aircon, sometimes without, and the car gets around about 50 miles to the gallon. 48 to 51 miles to the gallon on really long trips. Okay, if you're doing an hour journey, it's going to be in the 40s. I'm talking about journeys when you're on the road for 4-5 hours. The longest journey I did was 13.5 hours. And it doesn't seem to make much difference on track as well. I've done 2 really hot track days, one at Thruxton, one at Donington, had the air conditioning on for the whole time. I didn't notice a difference in power, although there may be a difference in power, and I didn't notice a difference in economy. In fact, the economy on track in this car is quite amazing. I get between 14 and 18 miles to the gallon, and the time I got 18 miles to the gallon was at Thruxton on a really hot day, and I had the air conditioning on the whole time. I was even using the car to keep myself cool in between the times I was out on track. So I'd come back, leave the engine running, leave the air conditioning on, sit in the car and stay cool, because it was a really hot day. As I say, I have really beat on this car. Probably nice to turn the engine off and let it cool down, but no, I kept it running. Oh, by the way, if you do go on track, it is a good idea when you get off track to let it run for 2 or 3 minutes, just to let everything circulate, to cool down gently. But it's good to give it a break as well after that. Next thing are the dials. They have this like purple reflection to them. And in other convertible cars I've owned, when the sun is out, sometimes the glare can make it hard for you to see your dials. But I think Mazda have purposefully put this purple reflective coating on it. It's so subtle, you almost think there's nothing there, but it's definitely something there, and it stops the glare. I've never had glare when sun has been shining on them, so I'm guessing that's deliberate. That is clever, I like that. And also you have a button to zoom in to your coolant temperature, which is useful when you do track days. And the whole car just feels like you're meant to drive it hard and you're meant to take it on track. The engine is designed to take 1.4 of G, lateral G, and maintain oil pressure. The fuel gauge tells you you're on 0 when it has 9 litres left. You may think, is that important? Well, it is, because most cars tell you it's on 0, around 4 litres. What that means is that there's more fuel in the tank. So when you're going around a corner hard and the fuel goes to one side, the fuel pump will always have something to suck on. You're not going to get fuel starvation and get sudden loss of power on track, which is quite dangerous and not good for your engine. And the fact the engine can take the G-forces as well and maintain oil pressure is good, because many people who do track days have to modify their car to deal with that by putting like a baffled sump in to prevent the oil swishing about so much. So if you want to do track days, this is a really great car. It's not the fastest, but it doesn't matter. The roof, so easy. My old BMW Z4 was an electric one and it took a while. This one, just do it in a couple of seconds, look. Sometimes manual is best. Really quick, I wasn't even trying to be quick there. Under the bonnet stays clean. You have these little rubber strips either side and at the front. I was expecting after my first trip to Scotland for it to look terrible underneath there, because it was really quite wet and lots of stuff I was driving through and the car was covered in muck. Yet underneath the bonnet was really clean, which is nice. It's nice to keep that clean. And anything else? Yes, the heater and the heated seats. I'm sitting here right now, it's a little bit chilly outside, the engine's off, but I've got the heated seat on and it's lovely. And I can have the roof off pretty much all year round. I've had it off in the snow as well, and I've been comfortable and warm because the heater just blows so much warm air. It feels like it's summer when it's winter. This car's not only great to drive enthusiastically, but if you only need 2 seats, it's also quite easy around town. Reversing camera, reversing sensor, relatively good visibility for a 2-seater convertible. Really easy to use pedals and clutch and steering. It's a joy even to go at sedate speeds, but you don't want to know about that, do you? Let's go to a more interesting road. This is where the car shines. A great British B-road with its precise steering, slick gear change, quick to rev engine with its light flywheel, and perfect balance. It's quick too, 0 to 60 in 6.5 seconds. It's a similar speed to a Clio 182 from the noughties, except a much better driving position, rear-wheel drive, better balance, and a limited slip differential. It's not the fastest car, but whoever said a Clio 182 is slow. What I find interesting about this car is the car I had before it was much faster. It was 870 kilos, 220 horsepower, and 0 to 60 in closer to 4 seconds. And when I got this, I definitely noticed it was a slower car, but having owned it for a while, I don't remember my last car being any faster, simply because this one is just as much fun, and that's what counts. My sense to speed has adjusted, probably for the better. I'm doing 10 miles an hour. This is slightly uphill. 35, 60. It's quick enough. It can get tail happy, especially when wet. These Bridgestone tyres are very good when they're hot. They're good for a road tyre on track, very pleased when on track, but when it's wet, be careful of your throttle because the car will want to twist on you. As for tyres and brakes, I'm still on the original set of tyres after 5 track days. 2 of them were really hot, they've all been dry, although I've had to replace 1 tyre early on due to a puncture, and I'm still on my first set of track brake pads. My road pads have got loads of life left in them, although I always say I only have probably 1 day left in the tyres on track, and certainly 1 day left for the brake pads on track. And then when you're in a 30-mile-an-hour limit with houses and you want to relax, or you're on a really long cruise on a monotonous A road or motorway, the car's relaxing and easy to use. I love the chassis of the car. It's positively rear-wheel drive. You can really feel that. And you don't get understeer. You have to be on a race circuit and be driving very hard to get any kind of understeer. It much prefers to go into oversteer. I thought I would share with you the cost of ownership. I think that's quite an interesting thing about cars. You want to know how much they cost? Well, the first service is £220. A full set of good quality tyres, say Bridgestone Potenza Sports or Michelin PS4s, will set you back about £450 for the lot. £350 for good quality road brakes plus fitting, and then the car was £30,000. They're a bit more than that now and you can't get this edition, but a similar one probably set you back about £33,000 now. But I didn't pay £30,000, that's not how it works. I paid £4,000 and £375 per month for 37 months, which is 3 years and a month, with a £12,000 balloon payment. I think it's less than £12,000, but the car will still be worth most likely around about £20,000 at the end of its term. So it would make sense to pay the balloon payment because the car will be worth a lot more than it. I'm not giving the car back if it's worth £20,000 when I can pay 12 and keep it. That'd be crazy. That's like giving away £8,000. I never thought that I would own a white car. But a year ago I went into the Mazda dealership and saw this thing, could not stop thinking about it for a week, and I ended up buying it. Part of the reason why I like it is the colour, the white, the red, the black, the wheels. As a package, I think it looks fantastic. But white cars are a pain to keep clean. It gets these little marks on it which just don't come out with a normal wash, and I have to use something else for a clay bar. So I went on the internet to find a solution, and I found this stuff, Hybrid Solutions, funnily enough. Ceramic spray coating. I recommend it. I'll leave a link in the description. Follow the instructions for application, although I don't. What I do is I spray 1 spray on a small panel, 2 sprays on a big panel, spray it on the cloth for the wheels. I use it absolutely everywhere, glass and plastics, no white marks. Makes the windscreen wipers work better because the water just flies off when you're driving down the road. And it lasts about 2 months. After 2 months, then the car starts to get difficult to clean again. But for a couple of months, it's really easy. All the dirt comes off and you don't get those stubborn marks that you can see on white cars. I actually do it every month just to be safe, and it only takes me 10 to 15 minutes to apply. If I followed the instructions, it would take me longer, and there is a 2-stage process you can do, which means it would last 12 months, apparently, although I haven't tried that. But link in the description, highly recommended. Well, that's been my experience of owning this Mazda MX5 over the last 12 months. It's one of the best purchases I've ever made, and it's been a lot of fun. If you like the video, give it a like and subscribe to get my future videos. And until the next one, cheerio.